Hello, hello, Facebook. Just going to share this on my private page just to make sure that this gets out and just to make sure that I am connected, because I had to move from my beautiful setup that I have downstairs because I have my boys who are playing, so I need to move. Okay, so let's see. I want to see who's on. So if you jump on the live, type live so I can see you, because when people start showing up, I don't get to see everybody. And if you type live or hey, then I'll come back and say hey to you. If you're watching this on the replay, type replay and I will come back and say hey to you as well. So tonight we are, we're doing the 21-day Mama's Mindset Reset. We are day 14, so another 7 days and we're done. One of those days is going to be open for a Q&A. I'm probably going to aim to make it on the Sunday. So on this Sunday, I'll make it like that. And I think it's going to fall perfectly because the last video will be done on February 1st. So you guys would have got 21 videos just to really help reframe that mindset to owning 2018, getting after it. Hey, Melissa, I'm super excited for that stuff. So yes, again, when you show up, just say hey, type live, let me know who's here. That's the thing too with Facebook. If you guys leave comments, it just puts it back out into the feed, and then some of your friends can see, like, what are you listening to? What are you interested in? And it just helps people like me get the messages out, because honestly, I just want to help you learn to take up more space in your body so that you could take up more space in your life. So that's pretty much what it's about. Let's fix this little tag. Okay, so tonight we are talking about perfection and why perfection is not necessarily a good thing. So this might stir up some feelings, and that's good. This is what we want. I'm here for the messy. I hope you're here for the messy too. And it's just really to start challenging certain beliefs, certain narratives, to see what is serving you and what is no longer serving you. And then you're able to either drop it or rewrite it or figure out what works best for you, because I honestly believe it's not a one-size-fits-all model, just like I honestly believe there's not just one way to have a body. So I think all of this encompasses overall health, mindset, heart, soul, and perfection. Let's just go right into it. So there's this really awesome book that I read years and years ago. It's The 4 Agreements by Miguel Ruiz. Anyways, I never pronounced his last name right. If you are new to following me, hey, I'm Crystal, and I trip over my words all the time. I also make up words, and if I put them in a sentence and I can define them for you, I call them words. So nice to meet you. But I love that book. If you've never ever read his book, it is very to the point. It's the 4 Agreements, basically learning how to live a better life for you and not getting caught up into other things. So the one thing that I thought that was perfect to share for tonight's talk about perfection was that humans punish themselves endlessly for not being what they believe they should be. They become very self-abusive, and they use others to abuse them as well. So how true is that statement? I mean, I want you to think back in the last maybe 2 hours. Did you shit on yourself? Did you say, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that, I could have done this, I could have done that? I just really want you to think back, and we don't have to go all day. Just think the last few hours, did you say that statement to yourself? So the thing about perfection is that is the leading statement that we will use as a way of just being hard on ourselves because we didn't get it right the first time. So what I want to talk to you tonight about is, first of all, if you have said if you said that statement to yourself at all in the last few hours or even today, whatever, I want you to put the hand up emoji in the comments. Okay, and the reason that I like this interaction is because it lets you see, we're getting visuals here, that we're not alone in our struggles. We are definitely not alone. Oftentimes we think we are. Sometimes we're in a struggle we don't even realize we are. And the thing is that when we see that we're not alone, then we can change the conversation. We can step fully into it and be like, okay, I'm not alone. Because ever feeling like you're alone is like the kiss of death, honestly. If you go through hard times in life and you're like, I can't share this with anybody because nobody will understand. They won't understand my pain, my frustrations, my whatever. The minute you do that, you create that disconnect. And we are actually driven for connection. We need that, human to human. We all have the same beating heart. We need connection. This is how we thrive. So the minute that you're going through something hard or whatever it is in your life, oftentimes it's when it's difficult times, the first thing we want to do is push away because it's just too much. And that is honestly, we have to go against that thought. So this is why I love the interaction piece. So if we put like the hand up in the comments for little things like that, like, did you say I should have done something? I should have done whatever. I should have gone to the gym today. I should have cooked my supper. I should have whatever. Put the hand up emoji in the comments because I want you to see later that you are not alone. So the thing is that when we are constantly shooting on ourselves and cutting on ourselves, what we're actually doing is we're living small. We are creating limitations and we're beating ourselves down. So I want you to think of it like a hammer knocking you on the head constantly. Because the thing with perfection is, first of all, it doesn't really exist. I mean, it's a space that we can't even occupy because we can't even contemplate how to fit it. We don't know how to do it. We're not perfect. We're all imperfect. We all have our own little demons, our own little stories of shame, our own stories of trauma. Like, perfect doesn't exist. So by just knowing that, we can say, okay, we're not perfect. But the thing is that we are in a society that is perfection driven. So we learn that we need to be hustling for our worth. We need to be hustling to earn respect and love and acceptance. We need to be always constantly on ourselves. And the thing about that is you're never going to get it. Like, you're going to constantly, if you're coming from a place of perfection, you are going to constantly be struggling to try to get the next thing because you'll never be satisfied with the end result. And that's the thing about perfection. If you're doing something for the end result, then you're not really in it for the journey and the growth and all of the good, cool life lessons that can come from it. So the thing is that if you are wanting to evolve and to grow and to do different things, then it's about really unpacking certain stories surrounding perfection. And perfection does not exist. It does not exist. That is not a space we can occupy. We can let that go. But you have to do a lot of unpacking. And I've been doing this for the past 2 years. I can tell you straight up, perfection for me is very difficult. And I'm seeing it more and more. It's like an onion. So the more layers I peel back, the more I'm like, oh, I'm seeing parts of myself that I'm like, man, I thought that I resolved that. I thought that I had, I went through it, because honestly, the only way out is through. So you can't go around it. You have to go through it, get in the messy. So this is pretty much it. I want to talk about how when you're coming from a place of wanting to be better, so from a place of your own personal growth. So I like to talk about it as like there's a difference between perfection and excellence. Perfection, we're honestly doing it for other people because we want to be acknowledged. And then that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I want you to see the mindset around it. When we're doing things for other people to be acknowledged for it, like that is constantly a void that we will never fill. You're going to constantly be after that hustling for your worth. And I know what that's like because for a good part of my adult life, that's what I was doing. Hustling for my worth. Hustle, hustle, hustle. Like, and I need to tell you right now, hustling is not a badge of honor. It is not. It is not a badge of honor. It is not something you should be striving for. Perfection does not exist. It is not a space you can occupy. Therefore, you can't be striving for perfection. and there's nothing inspired by it. But if you're striving for excellence, that means it's your own personal growth. That means it's your own chance to really go deep, get into the messy, figure out who you really are. What stories do you want to let go of? Because we all have stories in our head, all of us. We all have stories in our head. And this is probably your time to be like, if you're taking this new year as a new you and a new chapter, this is the perfect time to sit with it and say, what is it about me that I want to go deep with? And then you do it. You just do the work. It's not fun, but I mean, sometimes you got to do hard stuff in life. And I can tell you right now, girl, you can do hard stuff. So what I want you to do, I want you to be aware that when you're coming from a place of doing your best, you're able to understand that your best, and that's the thing with Miguel's book, The Four Agreements, the law, that the rule that he writes is like to do your best. It's not to do the perfect, okay? So right in there, it's to do your best, not to do your perfect. It's to do your best. And your best will fluctuate day to day. Your best might even fluctuate minute to minute. Morning to afternoon, afternoon to evening. Your best will fluctuate. And when you understand and you can honor where you are in that position right then and there, it changes everything in your life. So you're not as hard on yourself, because a lot of people think that being hard on themselves is the way to motivate themselves. And I already did a lot of videos. I pretty much talked about this. I've written a lot about it on my blog as well and in my newsletters. Being hard on yourself honestly does the opposite. It makes you feel worse as a person. It makes you feel more like a failure, like a loser, like whatever it is, the stories you're telling yourself. And I need you to tell you right now, when you say things like that to yourself, it's not helping. Okay? I want us to approach, so I'm going to give you 3 things that you can do to really start to fight your perfection beast. And the thing is that you're going to have to slay this thing. And it is hard. I think that perfection is really driven by your ego. And not that ego is bad. We all have an ego, but I think that I was reading in A Course of Miracles, they say it's about keeping your ego busy, doing other things, instead of letting your ego take over and tell yourself stories that you're not good enough and how dare you try. Because the thing is if you're striving for perfection, it keeps you small, it keeps you limited, and actually it might stop you from trying to take any kind of leap or trying to take any kind of risk, because your perfectionism is going to tell you, well, you can't do that because you don't know how. Who are you to even think that you can do that? And then if you did take a mini leap and it wasn't like you thought, your perfectionism was going to tell you right away that you're a failure and you should have never done the thing. And instead of seeing it like, wow, you did it, you gained experience, take that knowledge and run. Like, it's about living the full experience, like living your best life. So realizing that if you're coming from a place of wanting to be better for you, and it's not about the perfection, it changes the whole journey. Because you're not focused on the end goal, because guess what? There is no end goal until it's the end. Okay? So it's not like a 12-week weight loss thing. Like people who do these diets all the time, listen, we don't eat just for 12 weeks. We eat for the rest of our damn life. So what are you going to do after? If you're cutting stuff off now to try to, do whatever, you can't think that you can remove things and then everything in your life is solved, okay? You have to really unpack the mindset stuff about it. So no, it's not about removing things. It's about really going deep and looking at it. So here is what we are going to do. I want you to understand, first of all, please write this down. You should never have to hustle for your self-worth. You do not have to hustle, girl. You were already born worthy. You don't have to do any kind of thing to earn any kind of approval and acceptance, because you have it right now, right here, okay? So you're already worthy. There you go. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to work for it. It's there. The first thing that I want you to do is I want you to practice kindness with yourself. So when you have little repetitive thoughts, and we all do, I think it's something like 97% of women have, well, I talk to women, so if there's men on here, I'm sorry. I address it mostly to women because I'm a women's coach, but it doesn't matter. 97% of women have repetitive negative thoughts, and they just replay on a loop. And a lot of these thoughts, they get repeated. So if you say mean things about yourself, you know, all the time, then you start to believe it. And that is what is limiting you. So I want you to practice kindness. If you hear yourself say something like, I should have, take a deep breath and be like, but I didn't. And it's okay. Because you're showing up with your best. And your best fluctuates day to day. See, I haven't trained in probably, like I did a workout on Monday, but I haven't trained the way I like to train because my body is telling me to stop. So I need to listen to that and I need to respect it. But it doesn't mean that I'm gonna go and binge and like feel bad for myself and do all these horrible things because I think I'm a bad person. These are the stories that you have to be willing to go deep in. You know, like there was a time where if I couldn't get a lift in or if I missed a meal or whatever, I would be so hard on myself. And that didn't serve anything. They've actually done studies, and I've done another video about that, with the women who were dieting and they took donuts, and to see like how uncomfortable they felt eating the donut and drinking water, and just to, you know, I did a video. I'm not sure if you guys saw the video, but it was all about self-criticism. And just to see like when you show yourself compassion, how it changes the whole story, because you understand that you're human and you understand that sometimes we're tired and sometimes we get angry and sometimes we are hormonal and sometimes we cry and sometimes we're tired. And you know, we're not perfect. We are not Caillou's mom who is just like, that doesn't exist. So you can practice kindness to yourself. So the next time you hear yourself saying, I should have, and listen, I do it. I still do it. Okay. Why? Because I'm human and I'm not perfect, but I have a spiritual coach. And when we do our sessions, I'll be like, oh, I should have done that. And then I stop. I don't always remember, but she'll say kindness, Crystal. And I'll say, yes, that's right. Kindness. I didn't. And there's always something to say about resistance. So if you have a lot of resistance with something, there's something in there for you to learn and to push into. Next, you're going to forgive yourself. So if you haven't done whatever it is you said you're going to do, if you messed up, if you whatever, sometimes we are the worst, like, and that's because we're not objective. So we're like the judge and the jury, and we punish ourselves. We throw ourselves into prison, mental prison, because we weren't perfect. We messed up. How could we have been so foolish? Listen, that is not helping you. You need to forgive yourself because, I mean, did you learn something in the mess up? I honestly believe that there are no mistakes in life. I used to be so hard on myself with mistakes. And when I say hard, like, man, I'm still working through a lot of my demons on how hard I can be on myself. And I'm coming to a place now where I don't really think I believe in making mistakes, because the thing is that you do something with the information you have at the time. Sure, you might change your mind, and that's totally okay. Why? Because we're human and we're allowed to. And then you just readapt, get extra information, and go. It's about owning the crap out of the decision that you just made and keep going. If you don't like it, change courses. Nothing is permanent in life. And this is the thing. When we are coming from a place of perfection, we think everything's got to be down to the line. It doesn't. That is not how life works. Life likes to come in, shake things up, and then throw it back at you. So you have to be willing, you have to be able to be flexible and adaptable. You have to say to yourself, listen, maybe I messed up, but beating yourself up over it and replaying it, just like I'm trying to think, is it Byron Katie who says, who is more wrong? The person who wronged you, like let's say you were betrayed, hurt, somebody was unloyal to you, whatever. Who is worse, the person who did that one bad thing to you, or you for replaying it thousands of times in your head? Who is worse? What is the worst situation? Obviously, it's us. We do it to ourselves. So by being aware of these things, you're able to dissect it, rip it apart, and then see what stands true for you. So if you messed up, give yourself some slack. Guess what? We all do. Nobody is perfect. We're not born knowing how to do it all. We're not. You have to learn. There's going to be some growing pains. And That is what builds your confidence and your competence, because the more you do hard things and you get through the hard things, I mean, ask yourself, what is the hardest thing that you've ever been through? We all have a story. So I want you to put some fire, the fire emoji in the comments, because I know, girl, you've been through some hard stuff. We all have. So if you've been through some hard stuff, I want you to feel me, and I want you to put the fire comments, the fire emoji in the comments to show. And this again is to show everybody that we've all been through hard stuff. It's common humanity. It's part of the journey. It's part of the growth. So if you've been through some hard stuff, did you get out of it? Did you figure it out? Of course you did. Was it comfortable? No. But that is where the growth comes. Growth comes from the uncomfort. Growth comes from the struggle. So you're going to give yourself some grace. The last thing to do is practice patience. Patience and grace. I want you, again, to just ask yourself, what did I learn from that? You know, and it could be the most horrible experience, or it could be the most, you know, you did the worst decision in your life, and you're like, oh man, and you keep replaying, like, how can I go back? And this is what causes the anxiety and the depression. Thanks, Amanda. Yes, you brave woman. This is what causes anxiety and depression, because we're like, man, you keep trying to change the story, but it already happened. Your like chapters are already ahead. You can't back up. There's no rewind button. So you need to be able to accept. And accepting doesn't mean you like what happened. It just means you stop trying to change, that you stop trying to struggle with it. You can't change it. It happened. So you say, okay, I accept, and now what can I do? What's the next best step? What's the next best step? Oh, thank you, honey. So yes, that is pretty much all I have for tonight. If you're coming from a place of perfection, because we all struggle with perfectionism, I want you to know that perfectionism is not a badge of honor. It is not something that we should be, you know, even though our society wants us to keep pushing for that perfectionism, we're raised to like hustle for our worth, hustle for it all, have the perfect house, have the perfect body, have the perfect career, the perfect kids, you know, look perfect. It's bullshit. Like, it doesn't exist. Perfection does not exist. Living from a space of perfectionism is not healthy. It's actually limiting, and you can't occupy that space, because you're going to be constantly struggling to try to keep earning that worth when you're already worthy right now. You're already worthy AF right now. So that is all I have. Again, we are day 14. We got 7 more days. On Sunday, I will do a Q&A. We could talk all things. So I'm going to put a post probably closer to Friday or Saturday. Actually, Friday's tomorrow. Oh my goodness. Okay. On Saturday, I will put a post saying if you have questions you want to ask me, pretty much anything goes. Just be kind. We're going to, because, you know, vulnerability here. You could talk to me about, ask me questions about budgeting. If you guys want to see like my envelope system that I use, because I had a few women ask me about that, so I can show you. If you want to ask me, you know, how to learn to love your body, just how to whatever. You ask me all the things. You want to know what my kids' middle names are? I don't care. I'll tell you. So that is all I have for tonight. I just want you to know, and if you have not read that book, The 4 Agreements, it is a really easy read. You can actually even probably get it on Audible. And that book, like, I keep going back to that book in certain stages of my life, and I see it differently every time, always better. And that's pretty much it. Like the rule said, it's to do your best. It's not to do your perfect. So right away, do your best. And today, your best is what it was. You showed up. That's all that matters. You got dressed. You showed up. Some days, you might get dressed and you might not feel like showing up, but you still do. Other days, you might just want to chill. The best way to do it is ask yourself, like if you're really, really hard on yourself, actually I forgot to mention that in my notes. I'm all over the place. What you can do is talk to yourself like you would your best girl. If your friend came to you and was like, oh my God, I have all this stuff to do, but I'm so tired, or I have a headache, or I just really want to read this book, or I really want to watch like This Is Us on Netflix, what would you tell her to do? Would you tell her, now girl, you better get your stuff done, you got to be hardcore, blah, 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 because, you know, society tells us hardcore is a badge of honor, and it's not. it is really not, then you need to tell yourself, what would you say to her? And then say the same thing to yourself, because it's okay. It's okay if you want to sit and just chill, do some This Is Us and read a book or sleep for that matter. I don't know how many women that I coach, they stop themselves from basic human needs because they feel like they have to have their dishes done, their workout done, their meals all prepped, everything's done, but they're exhausted. Listen, girl, take a break from everything. Take a nap. It feels good. You have to allow yourself that space. So that is pretty much it. Day 14 done. Perfectionism. Don't let it limit you anymore. Go deep.